To hear past episodes of the Rap Radar podcast, what they got to do, B-Dot?
You got to sign up for TIDAL at TIDAL.com/on-air.
Yeah, that'll get you a 90-day complimentary membership.
Access to 50 million tracks and 200,000 videos.
TIDAL.com on air. Yeah, Rap Radar podcast, Elliot Wilson.
B-Dot,
what's up, baby?
What's up, Elliot?
This feels legendary, man.
Yep.
Legendary Roots Crew member Black Thought is here.
Yes, sir.
Black, what's up, brother?
What's good, man?
I finally get to interview you, man. I made it, man.
I finally get to be interviewed. I feel like I have arrived.
But you know what else you finally done?
What's that?
Is giving us a motherfucking project outside of this Roots thing, man.
Yeah.
Is it time?
It's definitely that time.
Streams of Thought, Volume 1?
Yeah, it's definitely that time, bro. Yeah.
You shocked us, man. I told B that, yo, we got this going. Black Thought's got a project. I spoke to management. It's a secret. Then Friday, you put the photo up, Streams of Thought Volume 1. He was like, yo.
Yeah, it's going down, man. I'm excited about it, you know. And it's just that. It's you know, just something that it's not a solo effort per se. Mm-hmm. It's just a chance for people to hear me on some stuff outside of what they're sort of used to, you know.
And what great stuff to be on. A thing called Ninth Wonder Productions, Soul Council.
Yeah, Ninth Wonder is nice, man. And his team, they do
He ain't fall off after this whole Rhapsody thing. He still got them beats. He's still hot out here.
He has some heat.
So
he has some heat.
How did this come about? Like, you just approached him one day, or he approached you?
Oh, Ninth. He and I, we've always had a rapport. You know what I'm saying? Just in passing, and we just have a lot of, you know, we share plenty of acquaintances and friends and stuff. So we'd always talked about doing some stuff, and he'd always say, yo, let's just do this album real quick, like a solo album. And, you know, at the time I agreed, you know, I said, let's just knock it out real quick. So we started a few songs, and then I had the itch. So I just put one out, and that's when I put out Making a Murderer, the featuring Styles P. And, you know, yeah, people went bananas, and you know, so we announced that we were going to do a record, and from that announcement, we sort of evolved to where I am now, having decided to, you know, like Ninth and I have enough songs that aren't part of this thing that's about to drop to do another, like a volume 2.
Yeah,
you know, so that's the idea.
Well, how many songs are on this project that we're gonna get on Friday?
I think 5.
Okay. So what was the approach like with those tracks? Like, what was your mindset going in with, like, you know, when you deal with Root stuff, I'm sure like it's way more of a collective, you know, a lot more opinions and
exactly. I mean, that's really just it with the Roots. There are a few more opinions that need to be taken into consideration, and it's more of a collective sort of effort, and it's also more like it's honestly more of an established brand.
Absolutely,
you know. So like what I do with the Roots is sort of definitive, and it's over, like, historically we've overthought, you know, stuff. You know what I'm saying? I want to say to a fault, but not to a fault. Like, what sort of makes the Roots, and why they say our music is the thinking man's music, is because, you know, it has historically been super well thought out.
Yeah, and it actually is well thought out.
Yeah, you know,
with a lot of different minds.
Yeah, so in short, that's kind of the difference of, you know, that's the difference between me, what I do with the Roots, and what I'm doing with these other producers. This is sort of me at, you know, as close to off the top as I can get, and still be sort of writing the music.
So you're saying it is a series, though, like that was what Sean was telling me. Like, Streams of Thought might be a series with you and different producers.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it starts with Ninth.
Yeah. This is volume 1, and then each volume would probably be a different producer.
You have a wish list?
I mean, you know, I had a wish list. My list is, you know, it's easy to, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know what I can say. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, what he's basically saying is he already got the other volumes done. With
like, keep it on the low.
He ain't ready to reveal.
Yeah, I do.
So what do you look for? Like you say, Ninth, you have a great rapport. You obviously respect him, but like when you approach the idea of this project, did you have an idea of the certain type of producer or sound that you were going for? Because you're so driven off, live instrumentation, obviously with Brother Quest and things like that. Like,
I never really have as much of an idea of what sound I'm going for as much as a feeling. Like I want the song to kind of write itself, and if you're in tune enough with the producer and the planets and everything aligned, then that's what happens. Like the songs, they sort of just come to be. There's one way to put it together, but it definitely feels far more. It feels less organic than when you just sort of let the joint come to be naturally.
And all those songs were cut with you and Knife in the studio together? Or
no,
back and forth?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, with the Ninth Project, we sent stuff back and forth and worked in the studio together.
Yeah, I saw you put some photos up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So how was he working with, in terms of just when, going down, laying stuff down and getting his feedback? And...
I mean, he's just mad funny, man. Him and everything everybody that's associated with Ninth, his whole team, they were all...
bunch of knuckleheads?
Yeah, no, they're just funny. I mean, but they're good dudes. They're Southern, but you know what I'm saying, in the best of ways. And I feel like that's what and Ninth is smart. Yeah. He's a really intelligent brother, and I think that plays a role in how he puts his music together. He's a super interesting arranger. Yeah. And just even the way he hears things is on like a different frequency. It's on like a different beat than even where, like if I sent him some vocals, where he would place them, and it would be totally on beat. And it would make complete musical sense, but where he would place my vocals wouldn't be where I heard them. When I wrote to whatever other music, if that makes any sense.
No, of course.
But that's Ninth. He's
Was it hard to narrow down since you recorded so much songs?
Yeah, it was definitely hard to narrow down. That's why I said, I mean, in a perfect world, I would do more. I would follow up with another volume because, you hit a stride and you get in a good place, like with the pen, and the joints sort of just keep.
What's
going.
important goals wise with a project like this? I mean, you guys were always this group that, like, throughout history, like, you wanted to be successful but maintain your integrity and never compromise, and you guys were able to do that. Like, how do you even measure success? Like, what's going to make you feel like this project is really resonating the way you'd like in 2018?
I mean, what's really gonna let me know the way that this project has been received is the feedback from the people. You know what I mean? It's gonna be the discussion. I mean, I completely understand that the attention, like, just as a society, we have a super short attention span, and like the news cycle is, it used to be maybe 48 hours, now it's like 24 hours or less. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's so stuff just trends for a stolen moment. So I don't know. Like during that stolen moment, when the discussion is, oh, I just put this music out, I want it to be held in high regard, and then I want people to be able to come back to it and for it to still sort of maintain its integrity, like to have stood the test of time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How much inspiration did you draw from that Funk Flex freestyle in terms of, like, obviously everybody, it's pretty much known if you're a hip hop fan that you're one of the great lyricists, you're one of the most respected vocalists out there. But just to see, like, you do something in this current climate that people connect to and build this sort of social media presence, which we didn't have before. Like, did you draw any inspiration from that to feel like, okay, maybe this is time for me to kind of put myself out there more?
Absolutely. I felt, just a different urgency to, follow up with something. I felt like, people, again, because that short attention span and just pop culture is expendable. But I felt like people would sort of be like, yo, well, what next? What's your next trick? I mean, show me
some more than bars.
Well, yeah, that was all right. You know what I'm saying? You could do like 15 minutes next time. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I went into the top of the year sort of conscious of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But people been looking for you for the longest, man. This talented Mr. Trotter. Is that a real thing or is that just internet folklore?
It was definitely a real thing. Okay. And now maybe you'll get the talented Mr. Trotter as part of this type of series.
Yeah.
So was that like, I guess, with a lot of different producers or?
I'm sorry.
No, that particular project.
Yeah. Like, I never went into a project saying, well, no, actually I have. I was about to say I never went into a project having specifically said that I'm only working with, one producer, but I did, and that was with Danger Mouse.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I worked with J Period too on some stuff.
Yeah, but not on like an album per se. Like
right.
we do mixtapes, we do live mixtapes. But yeah, we've done some recording. But
yeah, I remember hearing about something called Masterpiece Theater.
Yeah. I mean that was real too. I mean, it's not just the man, the myth. It's not all folklore. It's these things begin with the
SoundCloud got a couple of joints that said they were supposed to be on the Masterpiece Theater.
The best intentions and just evolve. They evolve into some other shit. Like,
but do you feel empowered, like from going through those experiences? Like, you guys have went through the label battles and all.
Yeah, definitely. I feel empowered from every experience. You know what I'm saying? You live and you learn. You got to go through it to get to it. And so yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's about learning from your mistakes and falling down and fucking up, getting back up. And, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Definitely.
I feel like you guys also were pioneers when it comes to this picnic that you got popping this weekend, man.
Ooh, absolutely. Yeah.
You're very proud of that Roots picnic. Like
I am.
What? No, but we get so festivaled out. We get so summered out, right?
Yeah.
Like it's almost we become, jaded by like why is the Roots picnic has been able to maintain like special authenticity and like deliver?
I think because the Roots picnic sort of has held steadfast in its mission statement. You know what I'm saying? We sort of put that festival together as the anti-festival festival. And it was always about thinking outside the box and ahead of the curve. And being authentically Philadelphian. And in what we spoke about earlier, that whole learning from your mistakes. I think this is the 11th annual.
Damn, crazy.
So I mean,
it still feels even newer to me. Like it's crazy.
It wasn't always the festival as we know it. You know what I'm saying? So we've been
through. Got a little higher.
Yeah, I mean, you go through
now
different.
It's not even relying on the roots as much, right?
No, it's that earlier on. We would have the Roots would perform. We would do like at least 3 sets during the the course of the day.
Carry the idea.
Yeah, what we do now is I do one thing with J Period. We do the live mixtape, and then I come back out and we do the big Roots set. So that's definitely changed. I think there have been years that we performed like 4 times. Of course, you know what I'm saying,
to help build it. Then
yeah. Just that was all in building the brand, and like now it's.
It's Dave Chappelle, it's podcasts, it's everything.
I mean, we're trying to expand, into the tech and arts and culture realm because that's where we see, that's the direction that we see festivals going in anyway. So it's just about getting again ahead of that curve.
How do you guys decide on the lineup?
It's we just carefully curate it, man. It's like me and Questlove, our manager, our management team, which is real tight. We just bounce stuff off the wall, and everyone has an ideal wish list. You know what I'm saying? Like ultimately, perfect world, I would have this person, and then we sort of work from that. You know what I'm saying? If we're all in agreement, we'll go after whoever is the person that we want to get, and if that artist isn't available, then we'll just try and fill that slot with something a comparable sort of energy.
But even throwing a big festival like that, what challenges did you face early on?
Being able to secure all the artists that we wanted. You know, finding like, you know, just the money to put it on. It was out of pocket.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So we didn't have endorsements and sponsors and all that sort of thing.
Right.
So I mean, all that, you know, it was, you had to ride it out for the first few years, and it started you know, coming together over time.
What was it? You remember what you felt the turning point was, where it started to get to what you originally had thought it could be?
It's a good question. You know what, man? One year, we decided to do the Roots Picnic over 2 days, which we've only done this one time in Philly. In New York, we do it over 2 days, but in Philly, we decided to do it over 2 days this one time. And I think the second day, the show. Oh no! I think the first day, it was just like, it was almost a hurricane in the city. It was a crazy storm. Skies was dark, you know what I mean? Like tents blowing around. It was crazy. We almost got rained out. Show went on. You know what I'm saying?
Show must go on.
Yeah, but it was terrible. And then the second day, I think Kid Cudi was headlining, and like something happened to his plane. He didn't show up. And, you know, like we still went out there and rocked in his stead. I think we'd already, again, performed like 3 times that day. We went out there, you know, told people, yo, Cudi ain't coming. And we killed it. And I don't know, like that was a watershed moment, sort of, you know, for me. Just the feeling of the city being super supportive and just being behind us. And, you know, that was like I came to the realization, like, you know, it's bigger than, you know, me, and it's bigger than the Roots even. It's, you know, like it means, the Roots Picnic means something to the city of Philadelphia. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of Philly, we see all this recent sports success, and you guys have sort of, you know, been at the forefront of that. But it's like, what is it about Philly? Like, what makes that place such a? Because I think I've saw interviews where you've said, like, you know, there's good and bad with everything, but that place still comes back and defines you. Like,
Philly is fighters, man. Philly is definitely fighters and hustlers, and you know, it's weird. You know what I'm saying? We have just as Philadelphians, we sort of have an insatiable desire to get it into, you know what I mean? Sometimes to a fault, because it's like you will have achieved so many of your goals, and we won't even take time to celebrate. It's like, you just stacking, you know what I mean? I got that.
Yeah.
Boom. And then
what's next? What's
next?
Yeah,
exactly. Like, what's next? You know, so I've been trying to make a conscious effort just in recent years, you know what I mean, to just like slow down and celebrate and appreciate, you know, each blessing sort of as it comes, you know.
Right. But you had spent some time in Detroit too, though, right?
Yeah, I spent a little bit of time in Detroit. Actually, in Southfield, I lived in you know, at the time, Southfield was kind of like a suburb of Detroit, but now it's I guess it's just the D. Why, are you from Michigan?
No, I'm from here.
Queens.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But
I was just in Queens like 2 weekends ago, out there with the large professor.
Okay.
Extra P.
Yeah, out there in Hollis.
Yeah.
But you had the crazy tumultuous childhood upbringing, right?
I mean, I wouldn't say it was crazy tumultuous. It was, you know, our childhood is, you know, you don't have a point of reference, so it's just this kind of all you know.
Childhood.
Yeah, I was happy. I was, you know,
you almost burnt the house down, Black Thought.
I did burn the house down. I did. I didn't come close.
Why you burn the house down, Black Thought?
I burnt the house down, man. Like, you know, playing with lighters and stuff.
How old was you?
About 6 years old.
Okay.
I was about 6, playing with you know, we used to have those little army men, the joints that like, you know, they don't move or nothing. You just, you know, we say you get like a bag or like a pack of Cowboys and Indians, or like army men. And I guess playing one day with those and just getting, you know, more realistic, like,
you try to create a grenade or something?
Explosions. And I you know, was melting down some of the figures. And this is way before like childproof lighters, any sort of lighter safety.
Wait, there's childproof lighters now?
Of course.
That's crazy. Okay.
I burned my hand. So, I flung the lighter. The lighter was still lit though. And my mother's bed caught on fire, and the rest is history. I burnt the house down that day.
Damn.
Yeah.
That must have been a hell of an ass whooping.
Nah, I didn't get an ass whooping. It was bad. It was one of those things where, like you're just happy that your kids that everybody sort of made it. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't a good.
But on a serious note, you did lose both your parents.
Yeah, I lost both my parents. My just murder victims, man, out there in Philly. My father, close. I was close to 2 when my father. When we lost my dad, then I lost my mom in 11th grade. So I think around 16, like 15, no 16. So I came back from Michigan. Right. So yeah, just 2 completely unrelated. You know what I'm saying? Just like it's real in the field.
No, I saw somewhere you said with the mother, you had to actually, they found a person who did it, and it was like trials and the whole thing.
Yeah,
and you had to attend the trials.
I did. I had to attend the trial of my mother's killer twice. Damn. Because there was a mistrial. So I had to sit through that again.
Right. What about with your brother? Is he in and out of jail now, or is he?
Nah, my brother's chilling. He's
chilling? Okay.
He's at home in Philadelphia taking care of my grandmother. He gonna be tight. Y'all better edit this shit out now.
Hold on, powers, man. Your brother's an A1 guy.
He gonna be like, so what about your brother? Is he still in and out of jail?
Because you said that fire was like a watershed moment.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It's crazy. Like that, I think that was one of the first times that he was arrested. And it definitely began like, an institution, like, I don't want to say he was institutionalized, but he definitely grew up in the system. You know what I mean? I feel like he may have spent just as much time in the system or more than he did out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How did you deal with these, turn these tragedies to triumph? Like, did you go through therapy at times? Like, how did you deal with all this stuff you dealt with?
Therapy.
Yeah, fuck is that?
Therapy? To reach Trotter, though? To reach Trotter, though?
Nah, man,
to reach Trotter, the doctor's ready to see you right now.
Yo, nah, there's only 2 ways that you really deal with it. And it's like, it's just different, like levels, but it's 2 dynamics. You're either going to sort of self-destruct, you know what I'm saying? Or you're going to use the tragedy to propel you in some way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's more subtle than others.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like sometimes, something traumatic happened and it's like, yo, I knew from that moment, fuck that. I gotta, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to the Olympics.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? With me, I don't know. I was confused still, like at the time, but
part of the process.
It's part of the process, and it's part of trusting that process and being able to, just listen sort of to the universe, like I was talking about before. You know what I mean? Like with the writing process, it's like a lot of this stuff. You know what I mean? It's already written for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right. But you even as a little kid, I remember on that record, on the Wake Up album, you said girls used to call you names and stuff like that when you was growing up.
Yeah, why you trying to play me? Like, even as a little kid, like and it sound like in his voice, it's a familiarity.
I'm just saying.
You know what I'm saying? I remember, I'm like, because I knew a couple of girls used to.
I like that song, Little Ghetto
names.
Boy.
Yeah. Oh, off the John Legend joint. Yeah. That was just for flavor. Like, girl, ain't no girls you should call me names.
Just making sure.
Nah, yo, I was cool. I was a cool dude. I was popular.
Right.
Like, I was a rapper since I was about 9 years old. So I always, that's how I got the girls.
Right.
Yeah.
And graffiti too. Like you really lived this hip hop shit.
Yeah,
right?
I lived this hip hop shit. When I was 10, 10, 11, 12 years old, I was running through the tunnels of the subway and,
Kids don't even know what that is.
The rats and all that shit. And, I mean? We was
spray can.
Yeah,
right.
We was, stealing spray paint and bombing the system, you know what I mean? Like out all night, hopping the turnstiles and, I mean, it's light. it's something light compared to what you know what I'm saying kids are doing now. You know what I mean? It's crazy in the streets, and even at that time we could have been doing a lot worse. But we was just really about that hip hop shit. The film Wild Style and Beat Street. In documentary joints like Star Wars and like those first graffiti, like our first looks at the culture, it really resonated with us in a crazy way, and we just took that shit like like that. We got to do it. I did everything you had to do. You had to write graffiti and do the human beatbox and have bars and break dance and you know what I mean, DJ a little bit, and everybody did one one thing or another better than the other. You know what I'm saying?
So what did you and Quest bond over?
Man, me and Quest, fast forward, like we were at the High School of the Arts, which is kind of like Philly's version of LaGuardia, I guess.
Fame school.
Yeah. And I was either being suspended or coming back from a suspension one day, ran into him like in the office. He had on like this crazy like jean jacket that was hand painted on the back. And one of the things that I did as a side hustle at that time in school was I would sell like hand painted jackets, jeans, little, I would use my art like to make little dough, and so that was intriguing to me because I was like, where did he get this jacket from? You know what I'm saying? So we wound up chopping it up, had a conversation. I'm pretty sure I was being suspended at the time, so like we chopped it up. And I think we exchanged numbers, and I said, like let's rap kind of when I got back from my vacation.
And you were kind of more the cool kid, and he wasn't. At that
I was cooler than him. I wasn't I wasn't that dude in the school, but you know what I mean. Like I wasn't like a nerd either. You know what I'm saying? Like I was a freshman that got to hang out with older kids, and again it was just because I had bars. I think. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But so anyway, Quest used to walk around with this little sampler, like this little keyboard. I think it was called the SK1 or SK something. It's like a Casio little keyboard that he would have, and he would be walking up and down the hallway sampling people and making little beats. So that was like my first sort of insight into the world of how loops work and all that stuff, and taking this part of that song and. We sort of educated one another. He like broadened my musicality, and I sort of turned him on to a lot of hip hop that, just because of his upbringing, he hadn't been exposed to. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
So when did it click? Like to get to organics? Like in that period, like when did it become real?
Like it clicked almost immediately because it was like, the sound that I kind of rocked with. Was his sound. He was, I love that James Brown and, all that P-Funk and, like those classic hip hop breaks. And, he spent his days and nights, mastering those joints.
Yeah.
Like
you can play that.
In order to sound, So I was like, there was nothing, there was nothing I could stump him with. Yeah. And, it was just a vibe in that school at the time. Amel LaRue was in there. Amel and Quest, they went on the prom together. Like, she was like our homie.
Groove Theory.
Amel of Groove Theory. You had Boyz II Men was in there. Oh, wow. Christian McBride was like really our original bassist. Joey DeFrancesco, Kindred Family. So like it was so many different, musicians, vocalists, just all in that school at the same time that it was sort of contagious, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I was there for visual art, but it made me want to rock with the musicians.
Were you so from the jump of the idea of because I remember just early days in the industry, they're the hip hop band, like those titles, like to be so atypical in the landscape, to come out like, you're not just coming out as MC Black Thought and trying to prove yourself. You're part of their first hip hop band, whatever that means at that time. Like we had Stetsasonic, but Daddy-O wasn't really trying to be like the MC master. Like,
yeah.
So did you feel like you were facing a challenge with that, or it just felt right and it was just like, let's go for it?
I definitely felt like, I was facing a challenge. You know what I mean? It was the fact, it was at the time, it was disruptive that we were a band. You know what I mean? It was, it wasn't in the muscle memory, like the Pavlovian sort of, understanding of what a rapper is, what a rap group is, how it's supposed to look.
It's a different type of mic check.
Right? It's like, yo, okay, like this shit is just some different shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? But so, yeah, there were definitely, there were challenges with regards to maintaining validity, you know what I mean? Like amongst some purists, super diehard purists early on who were just like, yo, well, because it's not this, it can't be this, you know what I mean? But that just made me and Malik and, you know, the other rappers that I've always sort of been associated with, like we just always had to go extra hard, you know what I mean? To sort of when you back over, you know what I mean, after the disruption dies down of the, oh shit, oh it's a band, oh look at these afro, oh yo do that bass big as shit, oh wow, you know what I mean? After all that's over and said and done, you know, it comes back to the bars.
But the Roots has always had a lot of rotating members too throughout the years. Is it hard just to manage these so I can't keep up. It's like a revolving door.
Yeah, it's like the Roots is a revolving door. It's you know, we're a band, we're a rock band in that way, in the way that, you know, any other legendary band that, I mean, there's only a handful of, you know, rock legends, but any band that's been around for decades have had, you know, a bunch of different sort of lineups.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, you know, people sort of come and go and go do solo stuff and go their separate ways, join other bands, and the Roots is not unlike, you know, any other legendary rock band of superheroes.
They're like the Van Halen of hip hop.
I mean, you know, fuck it. We the Van Halen of hip hop.
But also, like, I remember on the Rise and Down album, like in the intro, there was a lot of arguments and voicemails. Was that from like those early days?
Yeah. I think the intro on Rise and Down was a recorded conversation from on the road, like super early on. I think we were on Geffen, just having some dispute with the label about probably the date that our first album was coming out. I think they were like pushing it back again or something. Yeah, and we were on the road, like sort of promoting it as if it were coming out at one time, and then we found out it was coming out at another time, I think, and. You know, hilarity ensued. You know what I'm saying?
So you were saving those recordings? Like someone was...
Nah, somebody had them joints on that. Questlove is like, you know, he's always been just like a tech geek. So before there were cell phones and, you know, smart, all this other shit that everyone's addicted to now, he was just like that phone card dude. He was a dude with a tape recorder or, you know, a big clunky camera. You know what I mean? Like, so he would always document that stuff. And he's also a hoarder. So he keeps all that shit. Now me, even if I would have recorded that back in the day,
there's no way.
Yeah, there would have been so many points since then that I would have been like, I'm trashing this shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know, that's what makes Questlove. The fact that he, you know, collects so much weird memorabilia and quirky, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he weird like that.
But what back to period? Like, what are some of your reflections looking back on making Do You Want More?
Reflections on Do You Want More, man. We were working at Sigma Sound, which is a legendary studio in Philadelphia for, you know, like the Philadelphia sound, like the Gambler Huff artists and just so many different legendary vocalists, recorded there at Sigma. And I just remember the person that we were working with, this engineer, I think his name was Dave Ivory. He had a small space. And, you know, you couldn't set the drums up sort of in the booth and then, you know, have a vocal booth. So the drums would be set up in the vocal booth and maybe like some keyboards would be in the control room, like crowding the engineer. And we would cut vocals out in the hallway. There would just be a mic like out in the back hallway. And we wouldn't write any of our, you know, joints. Like we would just like freestyle verses, like Proceed, me and Malik. All that stuff would just be, you know, just like off the top, and then it would just sort of like come together. So since then, that's not how I work. You know what I mean? Like I tend to write. I like the idea of like stepping into the booth and just a certain amount of space where I'm able, you know what I mean? Like I'm I don't know, I'm spoiled now. Like I like to spread out a little bit, but I just remember recording "Do You Want More?" Like we had all of the brass, Graham Hayes and Greg Osby and Cassandra Wilson, everybody that's featured on that record. Wow. D'Angelo at the time was in there with us. Everybody sort of squeezed into that little teeny space, Yeah. It's kind of like when people come in and rock out with us at NBC, we rehearsing in the dressing room. It's a little. We have a studio and we have full studio recording capabilities, but it's essentially a dressing room. So, and we have Bruce Springsteen to be in there today, and then Sting tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Wow. Did it change when you got to Philadelphia Half-Life? Was that situation?
Yeah. Philadelphia. I think we started working at a different studio that was owned by, or at least run by, Larry Gold, who was a cellist, who was a legendary string arranger, who's part of MFSB. Which he played strings and arranged strings on all of the classic.
Love is the Message.
Yeah, all of the classic Philadelphia sound songs, and we started recording there, and like the next few albums sort of came out of there.
How did you and Puffy and Bad Boy get to a better place from what they do?
It wasn't. We didn't have anything with Puffy over what they do. It was an issue with Big. And you know what I'm saying? It wasn't mutual. It was like one side. It was just a misunderstanding. Right. Big was always a huge fan of the Roots, and he sort of championed the Roots on the road. And I always tell people, like, the first time I met Big, like I walked up to him, he was singing Silent Treatment, and just telling me like how that's his shit. And first time I met Lil' Kim, like when I met Junior Mafia, C's, all these people I would meet that were from his camp, Tracy Lee, Mark Pitts, like all of them at the time would be like, yo, Big is a huge fan, you know what I mean? And I was a huge Big fan. So like I never, wanted to like diss Big or anything. I was actually, I don't know what came out first, if What They Do came out first before the Flavor in Your Ear remix.
Flavor in Your Ear was 95. So
it's the same year.
Around the same time. But when Flavor in Your Ear came out, this is when everybody had pages, I guess, and my pages started blowing up. People like, yo, Big, this y'all niggas on this record. Talk shit now, like what you gonna do? He said invisible bullies like the Roots. He said your freestyles go back to the factory, nigga. I ain't say it. He did. You know what I mean? And like, so I was like, oh shit, like, how? You know what I mean? Like, we fuck with each other, you know what I mean? Like, we had performed together a couple shows. And so anyway, I'm listening, and just like people gassing me had me like feeling like that's what he said. Yeah. So, I went through the whole process. I went like, hit up the label, played myself like, yo, you know what I mean? I wanted to talk to somebody about, Biggie had dissed us, and they were like, yo, well, hold on, let me, you know what I'm saying? And they, you're bugging. And then explain what the lyric was and all that. And I just felt like an idiot and shit. But so that happened. Yeah. Total misunderstanding. I let people gas me. And then we did What They Do video with Chuck Stone.
That video.
Right? Yeah, my fellow Philadelphian. Woo. And in the video, we weren't calling, it ain't like we named any names, but that one set, that scene, it happened to have been the same, backdrop as a big. And I just ain't recognize it. I ain't know. I was like, I don't know. I don't even think I'd seen the Big video at that time. So, and it was a long day. I think it might have been a multiple day shoot, different locations. They moving you around. It's just like, yo, sit here on this, like they place you in said scene and then just shoot. So, I don't know, some girls behind me. You know what I mean? This is like the 30th thing that I'm doing today in a long day of, I'm just trying to, rap, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's what happened. At the end of the day, Big, he was super offended. Like, yo, why do a video that's, just so broad in general and only, like, if you're not naming any names, like, why only come at me? And I couldn't answer that question because it wasn't something, it wasn't by my design. It was a director.
And you weren't able to make amends before he passed.
I wasn't.
Right?
I wasn't able. Well, I mean, we were able to make amends, but I never spoke to him, personally about it again before he passed. I spoke with Mark Pitts, and I spoke with his team. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, on multiple occasions. But I never got to physically, personally resolve the issue.
Yeah. Is it hard to watch?
Because we moved. We were living in London at that time too. You know what I'm saying? We went overseas.
I was saying, is it hard to watch that video now?
I mean, it's just hard. I cringe watching any of my old shit or listening to any of my old stuff. So, yes, it's hard for me to,
But talk about that climate, though. There was that East Coast, particularly about the idea of underground and mainstream. Did you feel that sort of tension at the time?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hip hop, was on its ascent into what it is now. Like now, hip hop is pop. Yes, hip hop has become what pop once was and beyond. But in the 90s, it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? And there was more, like specificity between. Like it was more, I don't know, like genres that sort of existed in their own little compartments. You know what I'm saying? Even within, hip hop, there was, this underground and this mainstream. But then within underground, we had motherfucking, horror rappers. You know what I'm saying? We had horrorcore. We had, you know what I'm saying? Which was totally different from like some Onyx shit, which was totally different from, like native tongue, but we had all that at the same time. It was more nuanced, and it was more about delicate balance to sort of be able to exist in all those worlds. And I think the Roots has historically come close to being all things to all people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Which leads me to 99, because when You Got Me, that gave y'all the forefront where like, okay, this is like the hit record. This is success. This is like, I think you got a Grammy for that, right?
Yeah, we won our first Grammy.
What was that like to get that first taste of success, like, as a band?
I mean, it was dope, man. I can't really, I can't explain the feeling. It was like we was in there. I didn't expect to win, even as the announcement was being made. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we won for You Got Me. That showed us that, I mean, it sort of reignited a confidence in ourselves, in that we could sort of do real music that we rocked with, and that we didn't have to compromise our integrity. Yeah. If we worked hard over time, something was going to stick. You know what I'm saying? So.
I love that album, Things Fall Apart. That might be my favorite Roots album.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But even going into that, I kind of really got hip to you. We were talking about earlier was when you appeared on Big Pun's Capital Punishment. And Elliot telling me that at the time that,
it was even a big deal in the moment. I remember hearing about it, like, Black Dog and Big Pun are coming together. Like, again, the idea of those two different worlds, like, in a sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. It's crazy, man. I wish I had a chance to collaborate with Pun more, just because I feel like we were cut from such a similar cloth, you know what I'm saying, as lyricists, that it would have been ill to see just like the ways in which we were able to complement each other over time. You know what I'm saying? Because the way he raps on that super lyrical song is super close to the way that I would just generally, naturally rhyme. But because he was doing it that way on that song, I had to make a conscious effort to sort of pull back and do something that was complimentary. And that makes for, just polar, it makes for a more dynamic, you know what I'm saying, experience. I guess that's people say they can't put their finger on why that record is special. I feel like it's as close to yin and yang as two MCs have come, for a long time before and a long time since.
Right. Yeah. No, the 16s, and then you trade 8s and at the end,
just
Do you think he approached it that way because he knew he wanted you on the record, and it was almost like paying respect to you? Like,
I mean, I think it he always said I was his favorite rapper, and I think that was paying enough respect to me. Yeah. I think it was more paying homage to, the Cool G Raps and to Grandmaster Caz and to like the styles from which our style sort of came. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he, from going into the whole process, like before he had more than a couple songs done on his record, he was like, yo, I got to do a joint. I got to get thought on the joint. And we have been talking about it for a long time, going back and forth. But the Roots, we were doing a lot overseas at that time. And Pun was also all over the place. So we would just, speak on the phone. And it was before... if we were using dial-up and like if technology was what it is today, we could have just knocked the album out real quick EP. From wherever we were in the world, but it wasn't. We weren't there. Right. Yeah. So we just got this one gem, and I love it. Sean C was at my crib yesterday, and we were talking about like what plaques do you have up? You know what I mean? Like what's one in that Pun plaque, that's what I'm saying, that's a gem. We did a show in Puerto Rico a few weeks ago. Just me, I did like a solo joint down there as a benefit to help restore power. And Dead Prez was one of the artists that were performing. And it was the 20th, I think it was the 20th anniversary of Capital Punishment, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they were out there, they brought their Big Pun Capital Punishment platinum plaque out on stage in Puerto Rico. Cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow. No, speaking of loud though, it reminds me also Prodigy. Like, I know his loss touched you too, because you had performed with him 2 weeks before he passed.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. If that, like, you know what I'm saying? Might have been less than 2 weeks. Yeah. We just rocked at the Roots picnic. And man, we just, that really shook me up because of it was such a surprise. It was so unexpected. And it just, it goes to show you just how delicate life is, and just all sort of ideas about mortality, and just about what we take for granted. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind that we gonna work together now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because it was like we've done a few performances together. We always talked about jumping on a record. And when I saw him at that performance, it was like, all right, we definitely, we definitely gonna do it. You know what I mean? Because I had verses that I performed that day on Mobb Deep songs that I wrote just to perform that day on Mobb Deep songs. Wow. So I got like verses for you, like 3 or 4 classic Mobb Deep joints. I got Black Thought verses. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, it's just I'm like, what? Like I couldn't believe that shit. You know what I'm saying?
How were you affected by the passing of Combat? We heard that line that you said on the freestyle.
Oh man, Combat Jack, man, he was just a real dude. You know what I'm saying? He was a game changer. I really respected like the jewel that he brought and just sat out there for, for people to feed their families. You know what I mean? And I feel like he was always a noble. Like it's where me and my manager were just talking about an accountant that we know who's like this, who's like, strictly business in the business world, but it's just such a real dude too in the streets. Right. That, it's something that you never shake. It's just always in you. You know what I'm saying? And he was credible in both those realms and able to, get down, in a conference room, in a courtroom, as well as he was just super knowledgeable about hip hop and about the culture, just period. You know what I'm saying? So I don't. Throughout my career, it's only a few people that I've really opened up to in interviews. Like I've just had bad experiences with people misquoting me, or just interviewers with ill intent. You know what I'm saying? And Reg was always, he was one of the people that I definitely appreciated his style of interview, So, he definitely will be missing. That was another situation where I went to do Tax Stone's podcast. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Tax. I did Tax Stone's joint. I saw the Locks up there doing Reggie's show. And I was itching. I wanted to go in there and just like spit some bars with the Locks, but I had to dip. And I was like, I'll be back. I'll come back in a couple weeks. You know what I'm saying? I'll do, a specific joint. I'll come and do Reggie's show just independently. You know what I'm saying? And I left. A few days later, Tax was in prison. and I never got a chance to make it back to do combat. You know?
Yeah, but with the Prodigy thing, you talk about getting an opportunity to give people their roses while they're still here. With combat, with that freestyle, you kind of immortalized it and was able to give them.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? At long last, you know what I'm saying? But still, I mean, I feel like, you know, it's a sign of maturity and nobility to be able to articulate your appreciation for someone, for their art. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like personally, like while they're here. It's you know, it's easier to do that shit after the artist, you know, has passed.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So I just feel like as a culture, you know, we should all sort of strive to I don't know, to like give the people whose art and whose craft we respect and the people who have sort of shaped and influenced and changed our lives, like their honor for that while they're still able to receive it. And then, you know, and that also, you know, that's where new art comes from, you know what I'm saying? So
you mentioned management, you also done with the loss of Richard Nichols. Like, please talk about, you know, because insiders in the industry, we kind of knew, but like the people that don't know, like, just give us a real reflection of like how important he was to the group.
I mean, as far as like to the roots, Rich was definitely, he was a member of the band. You know what I mean? He was
from the inception, right?
From its well, you know, we had different management super early on when we were called the Square Roots. So I think for, you know,
the first thing Rich said was get rid of that motherfucking square thing, y'all the roots.
Right. So, you know, ever since, you know, we signed anything, it was, you know, we've been with Rich Nichols and Watch Your Back Management.
Wow, and, Watch Your Back Management.
Rich was a genius, man. He knew just about everything. You know what I'm saying? And what he didn't know about, you know, he'd get some books and, you know, he was just super well read and just super, I don't know, man. Like he was a genius in the way that, like, you know, like Elon Musk and, you know what I mean? Like he was like on that level. He wore the same outfit every single day. Same shoes, same shirt, same pants. He just had mad at them shits. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, like that's how he was on that tip.
He worried about that part?
Just like, he like, yo, man, I don't got time to fucking, you know what I mean? I'm changing the world. Like, what up? You know what I mean? What am I gonna wear today? I know what the fuck I'm wearing. The shirt, the pants. You know what I mean? These New Balance, you know, and
one less decision.
Yo, man. Yeah, he was definitely the brains of this operation.
Yeah. And keeping it together, right? Because I saw questions like the Beatles lasted 10 years.
He definitely kept it
you
together.
Motherfuckers like,
you know, you spoke about being underground and pop, and there were points, you know, at which I'm like, yo, I know what to do. I know the formula. I know what to do to sort of win in whatever climate was current at that time, right? But it's like, you know, it's sort of no looking back. It's no turning back after that. Like once you cross that line, you know, you can't come back and say like, yo, I'm still an artist too. You know what I'm saying? You can't like sell out and then sell back out. You know what I mean? Sell in and shit. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Rich would talk me off the ledge. I'll be like, yo, I'm gonna do it. I'm in a booth right now, Rich. I'm telling you. I'm in a booth right now. I got a beat. I got it from, I ain't gonna tell you who produced it. I'm about to rap on this track right now. You know what I'm saying? If you
Pop
don't tell, give me a reason. And you know what I mean? And he'd be like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like you could do, he was just expert at illustrating, you know, the many different ways in which a scenario could play out. You know what I'm saying? And I just, you know, so appreciate having had his tutelage over all these years, because the roots would have gone a completely different way.
Was there a lot of pressure like to make those big songs? Because you had Got Me, you got the Grammy, then you got front I can never pronounce this album. Phrenology. Yeah, and of course I know. But then you have the Silent P, you know. But then you got Break You Off. You know, those are big records that are still, you know, important to the culture. But did you feel like that pressure to continue to make, I guess, radio records?
I never felt the pressure to make a radio record. And even if I felt the pressure, I'd have a method. My favorite way to see beautiful women like my wife is naked. I bet you didn't even realize. But yo, check it. Nah, I'm sorry. What was the question, bro?
No, I'm just saying, like, when you make,
when you first got that success.
Yeah, I always was just on some, you know what I'm saying? It's dope that record was a hit, but I'm not just gonna start doing a bunch of those, I don't got 20 more, don't say nothing shit. Like, that was a moment in time we did that shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mumble rap.
Yeah.
Mumble rap OG.
Yes. Yeah,
You said what?
That's a whole nother thing.
He's a mumble rap OG.
I'm the originator. That's a whole nother thing, but whatever. But I guess, there's always been a sense of like, you want a hit. Yeah. You want a record that's gonna be, that's gonna catch on. But you want that shit to be dope, and you want it, you want the people whose opinion matters to you to think it's dope. So
I remember you in the story when you guys signed with Def Jam with the Jay-Z regime. He was like, don't be trying to do no other. I don't want to be the person who corrupted the Roots and
exactly. Yeah. And that's also what I mean about, the Roots being a super established brand. You know what I mean? Already. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Jay-Z signed us at Def Jam. Yeah. He's like, yo, I'm signing you to do what the Roots does. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm familiar with the Roots. But you know what I mean? It's like, yo, don't let me be that was a good reference. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I was gonna say? I was wondering, why weren't you at the Unplug?
Oh, you know what happened? I was there, but then my services were no longer needed. So I rolled out. Like, it was a thing. It was
you sent an invoice, man. Come on,
it was gonna be like, there was a section, like, originally, the idea was it was gonna break down to a part when Eminem and Jay-Z and I were gonna
renegade it out.
Rap. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if renegade. Yeah, we were gonna rap together. And we were at the rehearsals for that shit, and I guess at some point it was determined that section wasn't happening. Yeah. And I was like hype. I was Jay-Z's hype man for the whole show at that point. Like, I was up there, you know what I'm saying, like doing everything, shit, doing choruses and all that shit. But once I found out that I wasn't gonna spit, like, I'm not rapping, I'm not fucking rapping. So I was just, and there was no malice. It wasn't like, oh, well, fuck you then. Yeah. I was just like, good. It was just like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like, still, this is, we're a band for hire, and we need the exposure, we need the bread, we need, you know what I mean? All that. So, like, go ahead. And I rocked out.
It is amazing, like, given the records itself and live performances, there's never been as much of a respected MC that shared the stage with so many diverse, talented MCs, but always still hold their own, and it's never compromised people's view of you. You know what I mean? Like, that you're able to share that spotlight at times, even if it's your show, with all these artists that come on stage. Like, why do you think you're able to, like, it has never really hurt you, like you're saying? Like, it has never really, like, been able to take the light off you, ultimately?
I feel like it boils down to confidence. You know what I mean? Like, when you know who you are as a person and as an artist, like, that foundation is hard to shake. It's like, it is what it is, man. Like, I'm gonna be me. Yeah. If I'm on stage with B.B. King and Bruce Springsteen, I'm gonna be me if it's me and J. Rue the Damager and
or Dice Walker get 96 bars on the record.
It's but it's about confidence. Yeah. And it's about practice makes perfect. I've rapped so many raps, man, over so many years that, I mean, I can't say I'm infallible. Like, I fucked up a couple times. You know what I mean? I've come out totally just botched performances, and I slip. I'll be caught slipping, but I know why. It's like, I know what I did. I know what led up to that shit. But those times are few and far between. Shit, right. You know what I mean? So if it's one thing I know how to do, it's rap real good.
Yeah, right. I think the one Roots album's underrated is the How I Got Over album. I feel like that's
yes.
That's like the last great Roots album to me, like that.
That was the last great one?
It's to me. No disrespect.
No, I feel saying,
like,
I love how
I'll tell you why. Yeah. I feel like what I didn't like with the last couple of records, I feel like it became like so conceptual.
Too conceptual.
And dark. And not enough of you out there. Like, I feel like How I Got Over, you're out there like And I think that's what people fiend for. Like you are, bars, and we need that balance of that with the direction. I feel like How I Got Over was like the last one that kind of gave those nuances.
I think How I Got Over marked the end of an era in that Undone and Then You Shoot Your Cousin were recorded during Rich's downward spiral. And Undone was, I think his illness had gone into remission, and there was some hope, and it was like a back and forth sort of deal. And then Then You Shoot Your Cousin, there wasn't much hope for the cure.
Wow.
So
that's why those records
we bowed
are so
out.
dark,
That was Rich's swan song. We let him do he orchestrated that whole thing. It's like that was his record. You know what I mean? Where do I rap? You know what I mean? Basically, what do I say and where? And he put that together. Yes, So those they became, as heavily conceptual as we've ever gotten, and as I think as musically, as sonically dense as we've ever gotten in a progressively shorter period of time. Like I guess Undone was maybe 40 minutes or something. And Then You Shoot Your Cousin was like 30 some minutes. You know what I'm saying? So
I definitely love that song, The Fire. When I first heard it, I was like, this is a record. Like, it's going to be one of those forever.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I hear it in the AT&T commercial or credit card commercial. It's like one of those kind of records.
Yeah, I agree.
It was in the Olympics too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we performed it at the Olympics around the time it came out. Yeah. I originally recorded that joint. I was thinking about Gatorade. I was like, Gatorade.
The Fire.
Yeah, just like Gatorade, you know what I mean?
Right. But you guys get the Endgame. We're gonna get another Roots album.
Yeah, the album is coming. Like, the Roots album is definitely coming, man. We've been in the lab. Everybody just has so much other stuff going on. And then with the Tonight Show, that's, it takes up a huge chunk of time. It's 44 weeks per year.
Wow.
So
I gotta ask you about that. Like, I heard Quest's perspective of, like, obviously you guys didn't think you necessarily were going to become the, Tonight Show band, but what was that transition like for you? Like, why did it feel right for you? Like, because at the time you guys had been in this type of band that was on the road 200 something dates a year. The money was at the level now where you was liking it. Like, why make that decision? Like, what was it about Fallon in that situation that made you feel like,
for me,
this big change?
It felt like, just a big change. I felt like, it was time to begin a new cycle, like a new sort of chapter. I was always a huge SNL fan and a huge NBC fan, really, growing up. And the idea sort of appealed to me to be, working in that same building, you know what I mean? Just like around that history, working in the same room. Like where we do Tonight Show is where mad other shows have been shot, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, it presented a certain sort of challenge, that I was game to rise to, because it was something just completely different, like than what we had experienced up to that point. It's like, all right, now you're in Middle America, up in somebody's living room, freestyle.
So you kind of maybe was more convinced about it before Quest, maybe, in terms of.
I think the game was changing at that time too. Like the way people were, it's happened a few times since then, but this was one of those turnover periods where, the way people were receiving music and the way people were supporting live music was changing. It was, like the whole standard was being reestablished. So where we had hit a certain stride financially on the road, that was potentially going to be, tested. That was, it could be threatened by the new system. You know what I mean? People, I guess, like downloading music instantly, and just this whole CD thing and the price of a ticket was changing, going down. So it was like, all right, let's do this. And if we do this, then
so you almost was kind of ahead of the curve.
Yeah, it was. We've always tried to be ahead of the curve. And we were, in that, we were able to have job security and then still use it as a springboard to do, we just went the opposite direction than people sort of expected us to go.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, the Roots, they, with Jimmy Fallon and them, we lost one, got him. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right. No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you know the album gonna be trash, son. Like, so it was like, when we came out with the records that we have come out with, since we've been on Fallon.
Rise Up Ghost, everything.
It's it gave us, it afforded us the opportunity to just go full on artistic. You know what I mean? And and win these, get the critical acclaim, win the awards, and continue to forge these relationships with artists that we work with on the show.
So how have you kept it fresh? Like, you guys have been doing it for a minute now. Like, how do you, is there always a decision of how long you guys want to do it? Like, what makes it like still like the right move for you guys, you think?
I mean, it just feels right. You know what I'm saying? I'm comfortable. I enjoy performing. I enjoy, doing comedy. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there's space for both to coexist still for a time. You know what I'm saying? So,
shit, we gotta get on that show one day. Tell Jimmy, put that word in for us, man.
Yo, man, like, it's what up. Well, first y'all just got to show up. Come through, post up.
I want to put on my good clothes. I want to look like you in the Deuce.
Yo, your segues have been fucking killing me all day.
You rags extra tight.
You know what I'm saying? Word up. I look like you in the Deuce. You got the joints, the shits like dude on Atlanta under there.
Word up.
What is it about Fallon that you think makes him special, like in terms of like to work with and keep you inspired? That
I think he's a genuine dude. You know what I'm saying? We're close in age. I'm maybe a couple years older than him, but he's a music head in the way that Questlove is. So they really, really hit it off just on the, the nerddom. He's a cool dude. We're alike in that he really just enjoys his regular, like his being a regular everyday dude. Like he really looks forward to taking off his suit, drinking a beer, playing with the kids, sort of deal. You know what I mean? Kicking it with his homies that he's known since high school. Yeah. Video game, like, you know what I mean? He's a big kid. We have different interests. But we're alike in that, the job, like my job is a job to me. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't take precedence over like my privacy or my, family life or my just sanity. And he's that way too. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Is it made it like we always talk about, like through the years you could have your differences, the collective staying together. Richard Nichols was sort of the referee of a lot of things when things went funny. Yeah. Like, is it, and then having now the stability of the Fallon Show, like when you go back now and try to make an album, is it less arguments because now you're so in tune with the TV stuff you do daily, or does it go right back to the same artistic clashes?
Less arguments just because we figured out how to work together. You know what I'm saying? How to work together on the road. You need multiple buses. You know what I'm saying? How to work together on an album. You need different studios, different locations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's something to be said about the tightness of the band for those guys being in the same room playing together every day. Mm-hmm. It changes the way we improvise, and it tightens the sound. Mm. You know what I'm saying? Like Quest could just holler out a key, and no one knows what they're gonna play, but whatever they play is gonna bang just because it's all in the same key and they know how to complement one another. That's something that has evolved since we've been doing Tonight's Show. Because when we were on the road before then, we never rehearsed.
Just hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. So what's your vision of Endgame that you could share? Like, what do you hope the record to sound like, or what do you think it adds to the Roots legacy, which is already?
I mean, what I hope Endgame would add is, I don't know, I want to revolutionize the game. You know what I'm saying? I want Endgame to be the Black Thought Funk Flex freestyle of albums. You know what I'm saying? And I want it to hit when at the time that it's most needed. And I feel like that's sort of soon.
Why do you think it's most needed? Just because overall, not just hip hop, but the climate itself? Like,
yeah, I feel like, just like the climate, man. it's up to us as the artist to sort of reflect and to inform. And I just feel like too much time has passed since an album by the band The Roots.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, has come out. And this being our first time out after having lost Rich, it's something that we sort of need to do,
and honor him. In a sense.
It's what he would have I know he's rolling in his grave right now. Like, yo, what the fuck? Like, it's been, it's fucking 3 years. Like, I've been dead. Like, yo,
I saw something last year with Questlove like, we got 240 songs, and Rich's job would be like, stop, no more songs, stop making records. Yeah. Because you make so many songs and then you go and cut the songs down to what?
Yeah, well, that's just how we're used to working. And like I told you, my man, he's a hoarder. So, he enjoys being able to say, yeah, we got 200 and however many songs. You know what I'm saying? I got that many songs. I got this many records. I got this many sneakers. You know what I mean? It's like, that's his thing. And what Streams of Thought is about for me is just putting that shit out, because that's
this Friday,
the game
baby.
is
We starting now.
It's like people ain't sitting on that music like this. Like, you got it, put it out. I see people record a song, it come out that night.
Yeah, right.
Straight up. Joey Badass and Salon Remy just did it like a few weeks ago. Like, yo, they did a song in the afternoon and put that shit out like, you know what I'm saying, like 10 o'clock that night.
Wow.
So is Amir like, are you sure you want to do this, Tariq?
I'm sorry?
Is Amir like, are you sure you want to do this, Tariq? The Streams of Thought thing?
Nah, man, we good, because this completely, like I said, I got so many different just approaches, and just there's so much that I have to get off my chest that even when I'm working with different producers, it's just completely different. It's like it's as close to different artists as I'm gonna come rapping on all of my own joints. I just completely compartmentalize, it's just a totally different sound, and I'm rocking out with the energy that we create, so.
Yeah, all right. I'm staying inspired, man. Shit. We're gonna get that Streams of Thought series.
Word up.
Yeah. So you guys listen to y'all got a couple songs, right?
Nah, he wouldn't.
I got a song.
A piece of a song. They wouldn't let us
for
in.
real? Nah, for real?
We ain't trying to bootleg nothing out here.
So, what'd you hear? What'd you guys hear?
I heard a piece of it. It was on my phone. I couldn't even hear it. It was like the lowest quality.
It's by itself.
I couldn't even hear it. It was the lowest quality.
No, the sound quality, the sound.
Oh, for real?
It's like it was recorded like at the rerun at the Doobie Brothers concert.
Oh,
it was one of those.
Shit,
it was like,
damn, the tape recorder.
I got it on my phone, but I don't want to break it out.
It was
Okay.
no 215.
Yeah,
215.
215. There you go.
Yeah.
That's the right.
And then how long of a section played?
I heard the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was quality.
Oh, that's
It was quality. So
Tell us about 215.
Yeah.
We talk about that one.
I mean,
is that like the focus song from the project in your mind?
out of the songs on this project, 215 is my favorite.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think it's one of those joints that just takes you on a journey.
Yeah.
It's like it's narrative in a way that is non-linear. You know what I mean? It's a collage. It's multimedia in that way. And it's just my favorite joint. It's mad vivid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Getting a visual on that, speaking of vivid?
I mean, it's like, are we gonna get a visual?
Yeah.
We might. You know what I'm saying? I'm collaborating with different visual artists for each of these volumes. Yeah. So, and like the artist that I'm working with for this first joint is also a director and producer, and who knows, maybe we'll do an actual moving picture visual together.
Dope.
But it's all about that 215 for me, man.
Cool. And we should expect more volumes?
Yeah, absolutely.
2 or 3?
Expect way more than 2 or 3 volumes.
So how many you giving us, man?
I'm giving y'all mad volumes.
It's like a Britannica.
More than 2 or 3.
Encyclopedia.
So we should pop every Friday, every month? You have it mapped out?
If I had my way, I would put an EP out every Friday for a minute, but I don't think it's gonna be that frequent. You know what I'm saying?
No, but definitely
probably every month, or maybe every few weeks.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
But you just feel it's time.
Yeah, like just put it out. You know what I mean? And it's a broad range of stuff. Everything is not gonna be for everybody. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I got a lot of some joints, man.
They lit the fire, man. Black Thought, man. Thank you, brother. Looking forward to it, man. Streets of Thought series, man.
Yes, sir.
2 for 10.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Rap Radar Podcast.
Rap Radar Podcast, Black Thought.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. Catch us tomorrow on Jimmy Fallon.